Good morning, students. Now let's start with the salts. We know different salts. For example, copper sulfate is a salt. Sodium chloride is a salt. Potassium chloride is a salt. Now let's study in detail about salts. A salt is obtained by the reaction between an acid and a base. We have studied about neutralization reaction. For example, neutralization reaction between sodium hydroxide and hydrochloric acid. We know sodium hydroxide is a base, hydrochloric acid is an acid. If you combine these two, neutralization reaction happens. Neutralization reaction is the reaction between an acid and a base with the mutual destruction of each other's property to form the corresponding salt and water. So here, sodium chloride and water are the products obtained. Sodium chloride is the salt. So potassium carbonate, K2CO3, Na2SO4, sodium sulfate, magnesium sulfate, MgSO4, etc. are different types of salts which we are coming across. Salts having the same positive or negative radicals are said to belonging to a family of a salt. For example, sodium chloride and sodium sulfate. We can say that they are belonging to the family of sodium salts. Why? Take sodium chloride and ionize it. We can say that Na plus will be there, Cl minus will be there. Similarly, Na2SO4 gives 2Na plus plus SO4 2 minus. So sodium ions, at least the cations are the same. Similarly, sodium chloride and potassium chloride, Na plus and Cl minus, K plus and Cl minus. So we can say that they belong into the same family of salts. Now let's discuss about the pH of salts. This is actually an activity. We will do it in the lab. Collect some different salts like copper sulfate, magnesium sulfate, sodium chloride, etc. in different test tubes. Add some distilled water. Make a solution. Take some blue litmus paper and a red litmus paper and put in different beakers. We can see the color change. We learned that acid turns blue litmus to red, bases turns red litmus to blue, etc. So we can say that some salts are acidic, some salts are basic, and some salts are even neutral also. So there are different types of salts. For example, sodium chloride, potassium chloride, potassium sulfate. These are etc. These are examples for neutral salts. You can see some acidic salts like ammonium sulfate, copper sulfate, magnesium sulfate. These are all examples for acidic salts. Now let's say some basic salts like sodium carbonate, potassium carbonate, etc. So acidic salts are there, basic salts are there, neutral salts are there. Now so many questions are asking like how can you identify whether the given salt is an acidic salt, basic salt, or a neutral salt? It's very simple. We'll do one small example. For example, sodium chloride. Let's take the example of sodium chloride. Now what we have to do here is do the hydrolysis of this salt. Find out how this particular salt is formed. Okay, let's do the hydrolysis of this salt. For example, Sodium chloride is the salt. So if you do the hydrolysis, HOH. So do the hydrolysis of this salt. Hydrolysis means addition of water. Water can be split to HOH. So if you write the products here, we can see that we can write on the basis of valency. Okay. So we can write here as HCl and NaOH. NaOH plus HCl. So if we hydrolyze this salt, sodium chloride, we can see that we are getting NaOH and HCl. So we can say that sodium hydroxide is a salt obtained by the neutralization reaction between sodium hydroxide, the base, and HCl, the salt. Okay. So if you observe the sodium hydroxide, we can say that it is a strong base. And if you observe this HCl, we can say that it is a strong acid. So strong acid against a strong base, it will give you a neutral salt. A strong acid against a strong base will give you a neutral salt. Let's take another example. Potassium chloride. We want to identify whether in which category this potassium chloride is belonging to. To the hydrolysis. We can see that potassium chloride is a salt, HOH. So HCl and KOH. Now we can say that potassium chloride is a salt obtained by the reaction between a strong acid like HCl and a strong base like KOH, potassium hydroxide. So this is a strong acid, it's a strong base. So obviously this will be neutral salt. Now let's see another example. Now let's see another example. Sodium carbonate. The same method. Do the hydrolysis. Do the hydrolysis. So Na2CO3. So once again I'm telling, while doing hydrolysis, write the products according to the valency. Then only it will be clear. So NaOH and HCO3. So H2CO3. It is carbonic acid. So here we can say that sodium carbonate is a salt obtained by the neutralization reaction between a strong base like sodium hydroxide and a weak acid like H2CO3. H2CO3 is carbonic acid or soda water. Okay. So here which is strong? Sodium hydroxide is strong. Strong. So we can say that Na2CO3, sodium carbonate, is a basic salt. Now let's see another example. Now let's say another example. NH4 twice CO3. NH4 twice SO4. Ammonium sulfate. Do the same method, hydrolysis. Do the same method, hydrolysis. NH4 twice SO4. So we can say that H2SO4 sulfuric acid and NH4OH. So please students, once again I'm telling, Write during hydrolysis, write the products according to the valency which we have learned in ninth. So H2SO4 and NH4OH. So we can say that ammonium sulfate, NH4 twice SO4. It's a salt. You hydrolyze it. We can say that this is a salt obtained by the neutralization reaction between a strong acid like sulfuric acid and a weak base like ammonium hydroxide. So obviously, which is strong here? Sulfuric acid is strong here. So it is an acidic salt. So like that, we can find out whether the given salt is an acidic salt, a basic salt, or a neutral salt. Okay. So this type of questions are asking for the board examination. Identify the given salts, whether it is an acidic, basic, or a neutral salt. So practice some of the examples are given in the textbook. So please practice some salts.